So we're looking at this book, Star, Stones and Scholars, a decipherment of the Megaliths by Andis Kaulins, JD Stanford University, and this is the 2003 edition. And I want to take our attention to page 172, chapter 7, and here we're looking at the megalithic deciphered megaliths of Ireland by sight. And I've decided to do a video on the phone because it allows me to zoom in and allows you guys to see more of what's being marked over Ireland. And here we have the North Celestial Pole, which is of course Newgrange, and it's represented on the third or the second level of the ecliptic. And Newgrange has all these stones and all these asterisms and stones that are marking the asterisms. They're all pointing upwards to the centre of heaven. And we can see down here in Waterford, those who are familiar with my posts will be familiar with the name Ardristan, which is the great river that takes you down into the underworld. We can see here the Canopus, which is the Argus Navi, being marked just south of Cobb, or south of Cork. We have the Argus Navi, the false cross, the Carina part of the ship being marked at Ballybane. We have the sail, or the vela, which is the sail of the Argus Navi ship, marked by Kerry. And the area Limerick or Lough is very interesting because the word Lough and Limerick and Luch and Lough, in fact the word Loch, all represents Hercules, the name for Hercules. And of course we find Hercules just here at Fermanagh. So, and these are the sons, the area that was known as Connacht, if I believe right, is that's the name of it. And the Tuatha came here and settled the west coast of Ireland, the Connacht. And yeah, so very interesting. We're going to look at this later on. I have compiled a few videos and notes and stuff on the tribe of Tuatha and how they came down from Scotland, from the area of Donside and Deeside, and settled this area, which is just above the Argus Navi and all the way up the west coast to Scorpio and Sagittarius. So we'll have a read of what Andis Kaulins puts in his books here. So he's the Ireland Geodetic Survey by Astronomy 3117 BC, before the Common Era. So we're talking over 5,000 years ago. These stones were all set up all over Ireland, and it's the same everywhere all over the world. The stones are all pointing to the North Celestial Pole. And down here we have the Ardristan, and up here we have the North Celestial Pole. So what does Andis Kaulins say in his book? The map of Ireland above shows important megalithic sites such as deciphered by Andis Kaulins. These megalithic sites show the counties of Ireland, reflect ancient regional borders in ancient year, borders which were fixed by megalithic astronomy and Geodetic 3117 BC. Ancient regions were surveyed and marked by megaliths. The resulting regions and later similarly bordered modern counties represented groups of stars or constellations of the heavens. These land parcels have been largely retained in our modern age, though their size and shape will of course change some in the interim. So it's quite interesting. All the counties are made up according to the asterisms above. And we're just going to have a quick scan of chapter 7. I don't want to have this video going on too long, but just keep it as a snippet. The decipherments of the megaliths of Ireland began with the identification of the Ardis stone, Ardristan, in County Carlow, which is up here. County Carlow, the Ardis stone is not up here, it's there. County Carlow. Somewhere there. There we go, there it's there. County Carlow. So the Ardis stone is right there. County Carlow. Which is just above Wexford and Carlow. So, County Carlow, as marking the Pleiades. The megalith Ardristan is the only rifled megalith in Ireland and compares to the rifled Pleiades stone in Scotland, marking the Pleiades. In Ireland we have a nearby similar named Tullow. Also similar is the Arabic term Al-Tharuya for the Pleiades. Lastly, Manx Gaelic has the similar term Yayin Trelin for the Pleiades. The Irish megalith also solves a mystery thus far unsolved by showing us why these stones were rifled, as clearly seen from the Ardristan. The rifling comes from carving in relief on the stone, which is quite obviously representative of the Pleiades as eels, striving upwards towards heaven, as in the real-life migrations. Indeed, Manx Gaelic calls an eel an Astan, i.e. like Ardristan. The decipherment is strengthened securely by the agate capstone in Carlow County, which similarly shows eels striving to the centre of the foundation stone, seen by the ancients as the seed of creation. The eels being similar to the seed and emanating astronomically from the profusion of the Milky Way below Perseus. The Irish word for eel is isk, so this is not agate, but the Gaelic term gad, meaning eye or rod. It would seem to account for the site name Agade. As the county name Carlow in Gaelic is said to derive from Cathair Loch, the 4 lakes, perhaps the 4 main stars of the Pleiades. However, the accepted current Gaelic name for the Pleiades is Glog Lach, and this means Carlow rather than Cratha Loch. And we'll look at this stone here, the Ardristan. The Ardristan stone, County Carlow, Ireland. Ardristan, Althura Pleiades in Arabic. The Ardristan Carlow is representing or pointing towards the Pleiades. The rifle form of the stone is also found for the Pleiades in Scotland. Ardris is similar to the Pharaonic Athir and Arabic Al-Tharua Pleiades. The Ardis stone shows us what the rifling on the stone represents for each of the stars of Pleiades. Pleiades is shown as an eel striving upwards towards heaven, just as the stones around central Scotland and below Perth are. It is interesting to observe the Ardis stone above how the length of the eels at the head has been carved in such a manner that the eye of each eel is one of the 5 fiery bright stars within the Pleiades. There are more, less bright stars within the Pleiades. The lower eel outside the group of 5 probably represent the very bright star 37 Tauri between the Pleiades and the Hyades. And then you've got the agate capstone, Carlow County, the Pleiades and the foundation stone, made up of eels, all heading towards the centre of heaven. As we see here, all heading towards the centre of heaven. The agate capstone of eels as the Pleiades above. County Antrim, Holstone, Crag, Sagittarius, which is the next page. County Antrim marks Sagittarius. The graphic on the page following shows the Holstone in Antrim County, Ireland, with the stars of Sagittarius at its base and the stars of Aquila above those. The stars of Sagittarius are marked by carved figures and holes for stars An ape's head in relief represents the front of the star Sagittarius, where the back star is represented by a giant squirrel. Aquila is marked as might be expected by a bird. Above Aquila, at the top of the megalith, is a bird's head, marking Cygnus, of course Cygnus the swan, in the very northeast of Scotland. The entire megalith also represents a large head with a conical type of hat. The whole stone sits on a large crag, which is much larger than the megalith itself. There are clearly figures carved onto the crag. These are quite weathered and hard to identify. The left side is a boat with the front and back rudders clearly visible. Front rudders are seen on the boats on the Nahar 2 wall painting from Heracleopolis in Egypt. The boat carved in the crag represents Capricorn.